I'm Kush, and we're going to move over to the AFC West now, our AFC West divisional futures. And we start with the Chiefs. I mean, to make the playoffs, minus 500, to miss plus 360. I feel like that should be plus 3,060,000. Their win total is 11.5. To win the conference, plus 350. They are the shortest odds to win the conference in the AFC. To win the Super Bowl, 6-1. They're tied with the Niners for the shortest odds there. I think the Rashee Rice story is going to be a big one. Xavier Worthy looking great in camp as a rookie. Hollywood Brown's there. See if he can stay on the field. But defensively is where this team has just taken huge leaps over the last year and a half. Chris Jones, they run that 4-3, and they've been dominant. So I haven't even talked about Patrick Mahomes yet. So take it away, Keg. What are we doing with the Chiefs in the AFC West?
Kansas City Chiefs. They were an average football team for a large part of last year. Like, at times, the data was not pretty on them. But obviously, Mahomes is the most special quarterback in the history of the game. They finally hit second gear in the playoffs, but they still weren't as good as we've seen this team at times, because they needed magic late in the Super Bowl to steal another one away from Kyle Shanahan. A lot of people, including myself, thought that the Chiefs' regular season was mediocre because they were 8-5 through the first 13 weeks, which is basically slightly above average, right? But then I think we need to put a little bit more respect on them last year than we initially thought, because the biggest feather in their cap during the regular season was that for the first time in the history of the league, they were at a rest disadvantage for 6 consecutive weeks. During that span, they went 2-3, but in the other 15 games, they were 13-2 and covered the spread in 12 of those games. So I think that they are better than we thought that they were, like, through the first 14 weeks of the year. The Chiefs have 12th easiest schedule in the league, which is fine for them. One thing that you mentioned, like, when you name those guys that they have as weapons now, Kush, it's just, they're so fast.
Yeah.
They're going to be so fast for Mahomes that I think it's going to help, like, an aging Kelsey that can only do so much during the regular season now. And, like, you just let him go nuts in the playoffs. So obviously I think they win the division. That's a given. Now, I already gave out a couple months ago, we gave out Kansas City to win the Super Bowl at 9-1. That number is obviously a memory. We bet it during the break between the Pro Bowl and the Super Bowl last year. We already pulled the trigger.
Hey, Keg, is 6-1 okay?
I would say probably not.
Okay.
Because if they do drop a couple games or they get off to a slow start, you could see that number go up during the year. We did see that number go up at times during last season. So if that happens again, you might be able to get a better number. It's just such a short price, 6-1. But other than that, 11.5 feels right. They won 11 games last year. They probably win 11 or 12 games this year. So that feels right to me. I don't mind the division. They're like minus 270. I don't mind taking that and just parlaying that with any other division that you like to in terms of a team to win the division, because I just don't see how they lose that division. It's just not going to happen. So okay. I don't mind that, but aside from that, that's it.
Nuke the House website debuting August 15th. We're going to have articles on there. We're going to have live shows, in-game shows during the afternoon, everything that you can think of. So it's not just live betting here at Nuke the House Sports Betting. We're also going to be doing pre-flop. We do futures just like this show. Like button to be wonderful. Keg, the Raiders were the next team you wanted to talk about. Plus 320 to make the playoffs. Minus 430 to miss. 6.5 win total. Plus 900 to win the division. Minshew or Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. That doesn't make you very comfortable, but really love their defense. I mean, that came on last year. Max Crosby, one of the best pass rushers in the game. There's no question about that. Malcolm Koons, Christian Wilkins, who I talked about with the Dolphins. That's huge. Top 10 defense last year. What about this year for the Raiders? Are there any bets you like?
Well, I mean, the good news is the two biggest reasons for that team failing last year aren't on the team. I mean, Josh McDaniels might be the worst head coach to ever do it, at least in the running. And Jimmy Garoppolo is gone. They also have the benefit probably to not have to deal with the growing pains of Aiden O'Connell. I think Gardner Minshew, he probably gets the start, Minshew. And to be honest, I think he is a giant step up for this offense compared to O'Connell and Jimmy Garoppolo for sure. And then obviously Antonio Pierce galvanized this team. And mentally, they're in a far better place this year than they were last year. Scoring 14 points a game isn't going to cut it. The team was so bad offensively that they threw an interception every 20 pass attempted. Think about that. Every 20 passes attempted, which it obviously ranked dead last in the league. But I expect the offense to have a nice bounce back season. I think they probably break into the top 20 this season in EPA per play, if I had to guess. Both sides of the ball have a lot of work to do, though. The defense can't finish in the bottom third. They were in the bottom third in red zone defense. They were in the bottom third in third down defense and expect to be successful. They can't do that again. Obviously, getting Christian Wilkins is huge for the inside. To me, the Raiders feel like they are probably the third best team in the AFC West. I've got Denver in the basement because Harbaugh is with the Chargers. I'll probably give them number 2. In terms of props, the Raiders win total is 6.5, and that could be a little low considering where what they went through last year, and they still won 8 games. But they are missing pieces. Josh Jacobs isn't there anymore, among others. I lean they sneak over this win total. I think that they're going to get over this win total, but I'm not running to the window to bet it. If you guys like it, you want to pull the trigger, I don't mind it. I'm not going to run to the window to bet it, though. Aside from that, nothing.
So the next team to talk about is the aforementioned Chargers. To make the playoffs, plus 114. To miss it, minus 40. Win total is 8.5. To win the division, plus 350. But Harbaugh's in town. You've got Gus Edwards. I want to bring up Gus Edwards because you had a remarkable stat about him. I think their cornerback position is going to be a weakness outside of Asante Samuel, but running the football with no Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen. What do you got on Gus Edwards?
Yeah. I mean, listen, this is a big year for this team. Big year for especially Justin Herbert and where he's going exactly, because, the poor kid has literally had the 2 worst coaches in football coaching him through 4 years. So he hasn't even had the opportunity to progress really. Right. But he still played better at times than a lot of the quarterbacks in the league. Now, at times, he did not look good last year. He misses more than a couple easy throws, and he missed a lot of touchdowns when it counted last year that he could have easily gotten, but it could be for a number of reasons. Like, he could have been checked out and was like, fuck this team, get Staley out of here, right? Either way, I think Harbaugh should right the ship with this kid and get him moving in the right direction. Well more further advanced than where we thought he would be. The good news for Herbert is that his weapons should be healthy. Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler could never stay on the field for an entire year. With them gone, you bring in Edwards, Dobbins in the backfield. I think Herbert should be able to rely, at least health-wise, on guys like Quentin Johnston, Josh Palmer, DJ Shark. And, I think Ladd McConkey is going to be great for them or to pick up the slack a little bit. Now, the defense has some work cut out for them. They're only projected to have the 27th best front seven and the 22nd best secondary. That's not going to cut it if they want to be successful this year. But the good news is they're in a monumentally better place with Harbaugh steering the ship than they would have been. In terms of one play that is interesting to me, because we're not going to bet them. I don't like their win total. I don't like their division. And this is where you bring in the Gus Edwards stat. One play that I think is interesting is Edwards to have 10 plus rushing touchdowns at 5-1. Now, he should be the number one guy, and we know Harbaugh will use this running game as the foundation of the offense. I could see him getting a lot of run in the red zone. And when you consider the fact that over the last 6 years, Edwards is first in the league in success rate, sixth in yards per carry, and fourth in EPA per rush among active running backs, I just think he's super live at the price to get there, as long as Dobbins doesn't steal a ton of work from him. So I don't mind that as a season long, but past the win total, past the division.
Dobbins has to stay on the field. There's no question about that. All right. Think about your one or two best bets as I talk about the Denver Broncos here. I'm in the Denver area to make the playoffs plus 820. Plus 820 make the playoffs minus 1,600. Win totals 5.5. I'm going to give one best bet here. And if you're smart, most people bet against me, but I think they win more than 5.5 games. And hear me out. Bo Nix, to me, is going to win the job, the starting job. Javonte Pookie Williams, who was absolutely horrific last year, coming off a devastating injury, looking tremendous in camp. Offensive line, returning 4 or 5 starters. I think that's pretty good. The issue here is the pass rush. Now, last year they couldn't stop the run. They rebuilt the line, Zach Allen and DJ Jones. I looked at the schedule. They finally beat the Chiefs last year, but I think they could take a game from the Raiders, if not 2 there. They could take a game from the Chargers, if not 2 there. This will be another team that runs the football and plays defense. And the problem they're going to have is when they're down and they got to catch up. But I like them to win 6 games this year. Okay, Broncos, where are you sitting on Denver? 5.5 win total, 20-1 to win the division. Probably not happening. Plus 820 playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I basically agree with everything that you said. I think that 5.5 win total is right, though. I'm not sure that there's a ton of value on them to win 6 games, but I think it could go either way. So if you like them to go over, I get it. But yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, I agree with everything you said.